Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome. So, I am here with a message today that kind of interrupted my plans, my day, and you guys, like, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know by now, like, I'm always looking at how the messages come in, how the energy expresses itself around me preparing my decision process around how to bring the message through. All of that is an expression of the energy itself. So I was actually preparing to go out to do some chores, some grocery shopping, when suddenly this message came rushing in. And I wrote down some notes and was kind of indecisive if I should record it now or later. And then I decided to do it now because there's still some daylight left. And I'd rather record with natural lighting. So there's something about planning and prioritizing different tasks, and to, like, there's no right or wrong. I could have recorded this message later. I could have done my chores first. It doesn't really matter. It's just that I have some preferences, or I have some factors that I build in. Like, for example, okay, now I have daylight, so this is why I'm recording the message now and not later, and I can still go to the store in an hour. It doesn't really matter. So there's something about prioritizing. And the title I got for this message, it will be either in the thumbnail or in the title, is testing timelines. This was how the message at first came through, just like this one phrase, testing timelines. I was like, oh, that's intriguing. What is that? I want to know more about it. And it seems like that the collective right now is testing different timelines. If you experienced an energy of going back and forth between different ideas, maybe what you want to do with your life, what path you want to choose, there's a lot of change happening right now in the collective, and many of us are in the middle of a shift. We are preparing for some kind of change that's coming. There will be a lot of change happening with, like, the more we transfer into spring, March, April, there will be a lot of change happening. And many of us are right now, we are in this process of really locking in what our path is going to look like and where we are going, what can come with us, what has to leave. And so we are basically deciding on our new timelines. And I experienced this with myself, and I could tell that this is like a bigger collective energy that was happening. Like I said, this going back and forth. One day you are so excited about one thing, and the next day you feel like, well, but what about this? Maybe I want to do this. And then you are not even sure if you still want to do the thing you were so excited about the day before. And I feel like that the people this message is for, you are familiar with this kind of thing. Like, you are a person who has multiple interests and skills, like a huge skill set, and sometimes you don't even know what to do with all those different kinds of interests, skills, ideas that you have. And you know that kind of energy to, like, that you are, it's hard for you to settle on one thing. You probably had multiple careers in your life, multiple very different areas you worked in, hobbies you had, maybe places you lived, projects you started, maybe not that great in finishing those projects. And so you're familiar with this kind of energy. And while this is, yes, this has to do with like the type of personality you have, but it's kind of like exaggerated right now, and it's projected onto this process of choosing your path. So it seems like there is a guide collective that wants to explain to you that while, yes, this is part of who you are and this is part of your natural way of being, living, etc., right now there is like a certain twist to it, or there's something in there that is a little bit out of the ordinary, or that is like, it's important for you to know right now that this is not just happening because this is who you are, like you've always been, but this is actually part of your process of creating the future you want. Like, what is the next phase that is coming, going to look like for you? And this is what they called testing timelines. Because this thing about like one day you want this and the next day you want another, this is a way of the universe asking you, when you say, okay, I don't know, maybe one day you're like, okay, I want to be a painter. I love painting. I always wanted to do more art. Maybe you want to do this. And the next day, you are maybe thinking about, I don't know, I'm getting something about a coder, like someone who's programming, maybe apps, or like, okay, so this is something with a foundation. Like, you feel like, okay, if I choose this path, that is the more reasonable one. This is the one where I could, for example, make a living out. While you feel like the artist path is more challenging, not that you cannot make a living from your artwork, but it would maybe like cost you more to invest into it. And those are just examples. So just roll with it and adapt this to your situation, however this might resonate with you. But I feel like there is this thing that is very near and dear to your heart, but is maybe more the more, like, as perceived as the more insecure thing. And then there's the path or the thing that is more, a little bit more grounded, a little bit more down to earth. And it gives you a certain sense of security. So this back and forth energy has to do with, okay, am I choosing security, and am I choosing what my heart wants to do? And okay, how do I say that? Because I see there's this thing happening. It's like the yin and yang symbol. It seems like it's two opposing forces, but actually, like, the coming together of both things is making a whole. So it's like, for one, you're not asked to choose between security and, like, what your heart wants. You can have both. So there is a belief, some kind of belief that you might want to look into. Like, do you hold this belief of, I cannot do what lights me up, and at the same time have security? And also the other way around, and that's interesting because this one we've heard a million times before, right? Like, we've heard this, okay, if you do what lights you up, if you follow your heart, the universe will support you. It will make sure that you are supported. We heard this a million times. But you can also turn it around and say, something that gives you security can still light you up. And that's interesting, isn't it? Because we also have this belief of, well, if I choose security, this is the boring stuff, or this is the, like I said, like the more grounded, more down to earth thing. And it always, like, there's more density in there. It feels like, can this thing actually also give me this fulfillment, this feeling of, yes, it gives me joy, and it can still give me that spark. It can still light me up. So that's one part of the message, to really, like, look at yourself and see, like, okay, what does my heart want to do, but what does also my need for safety and security tell me? Because, the thing is, when we are talking about manifesting and about creating the life that we desire, for one, we always feel like, okay, I have to go for 100% from, I don't know, maybe you are at 0% or 10 or 20%. And it's a pretty huge jump to 100%. Like, to going from the secure but very, very boring job to a full-time artist in, like, one go, that's pretty challenging. For real. I mean, that's a huge jump. And I don't say that it cannot be done, but it's ambitious. Let's call it that. It's quite ambitious. And that's something, it will do something to your nervous system. If you are not 100% sure that you can make it as an artist, you will probably run into some major problems and obstacles. So it seems like you are, like, the collective, this message is for you, kind of in this all or nothing mentality. And so they are saying that you can, like, yes, you can have both. You can have like what lights you up and still have security, but you can also have security and do something that lights you up. And maybe you just need some kind of perspective shift. So let's say you're still employed and you are like in a 9-to-5 job, and you want to change something. So maybe you can take what you experience as to be more secure. I'm going back to this coding example. Like if you are a coder, for example, but maybe you want to go more in an artsy vibe, or maybe you want to implement a more spiritual approach. Could you combine those two things? Maybe you could implement spiritual work into your coding and or working with AI, or I don't know what. Like, those things are actually closer together than many people believe. Like, there is this huge belief around technology and spirituality doesn't go to bed together, and oh dear, those two things, they go together very, very well. So it feels like that there might be some beliefs around that you might look into. And spirit is, or like this guides collective, is kind of bringing this through to you to say like, okay, can you maybe look at the thing that you think is giving you security, but can you turn it into something that also lights you up? Can you infuse it with something that is more enjoyable, more interesting? I just got something about infused water. Like, you have water, which is kind of, I mean, water is a beautiful thing, but maybe sometimes it's a little bit plain and can be perceived as boring. But if you infuse it with just like, I don't know, some lemon, or you put in some mint leaves or whatever, you can suddenly give it a scent of something else that makes it more interesting, more enjoyable. But it's still water. It's still good for you. It's still healthy. It still gives you what you need. And it's not toxic like a soda, for example, but it's not just plain water. I don't know why I'm getting those images, but okay, this is what they're giving me. So yeah, that was kind of one rabbit hole, or one pocket of, it seems like, belief systems. And okay, so now they're bringing me back to this yin and yang, kind of to like close this pocket. This yin and yang symbol with, like, you have maybe this one area with, like, you have this black area with the little white dot, and then you have the white area with a little black dot in it. And so let's say the white part is coding, is the security-based thing. Can you infuse it with like a little bit of the other thing, like this black dot in the middle? And then on the other side, can you also make space for this bigger thing, like this art or spirituality or whatever it is for you? It doesn't matter. Like, you can adapt it for you. Don't take my messages as literal. So can you take this and maybe like infuse it with a little bit of grounding, security. And it doesn't have to be something that is... Okay, so they're saying like there is this, it feels like there is this need for this other thing, like this art, spiritual area. And like I said, it can be anything. It can be music. It can be like writing, art, like painting, sculpturing, spirituality. Maybe a more social thing. I see like a volunteer cleaning up a beach, working with nature in the environment, all of like those things, like something that lights you up, like that you just love doing. And it feels like very high vibrational. Can you ground it a little bit? Can you bring it into this world? Like I said, maybe like if you'd like to do something for the environment, start volunteer and help clean up beaches. If you are like a very artsy person, maybe I hear something about joining an like art class, or maybe like a program, or like coming together with other artists. You're giving it a container. It feels like it needs more grounding. It needs maybe like a routine. Maybe it's just about setting up a routine about like, okay, I'm making space for this thing on a regular basis in my life. And I don't expect it to be anything. I don't have to make it my income, like source of income, for example. I don't have to become like a full-time artist. It's okay to like, for now, just to give it space and to ground it in my life, to give it a solid container in my life, whatever this looks like for you. And just let it be that, not putting the pressure on it of it having to provide for you, provide you with some kind of stability or structure or something like that. So there's this pocket of the message, and like the bigger message around that, or what is happening right now, like this going back and forth between those two things, is, like I said, it's a way of testing timelines. It's a way of for you to feel into those different things. Do I really want to do that? Is that really something I want to engage in? And you might have experienced this thing about yeah, right. I guess I said, I wrote it down, like feeling into those different timelines is like a testing ground. And this is also in order to show you what still has to be released and what you have to still have to learn in order to like continue on this path. And right now I'm having a hard time to decide on which thread of the message to follow. which is, of course, like, this is the essence of the energy. Like, it's hard to follow one, to just pick one. And this is actually what they say, like, just pick one for now. You don't have to pick just one. You can still pick maybe 2 or 3. There kind of seems to be a limit around 3. I mean, you do you, you know what you're capable of. Just for you to be aware of that with each with each thing you choose, there comes a process of kind of, how do you say? Like, you're pulling it into your life. But in order for it to come in, things have to be released. And things have to be purged out. You have to process certain things. You maybe you're shown what you still need to learn. And so sometimes it's not even that easy to get started because, for example, if you haven't painted like, that's a personal thing for me. Like, I started painting again after more than 15 years. And yes, there are like things coming back and I'm remembering, and like the more I do it, the better I get. But at the same time, it's like I haven't done this thing for 15 years. So it's not like I can just like pick up where I left, because I'm a completely different person than 15 years ago, which also means I'm a different kind of artist, and I don't even want to do the same art that I used to do when I was 17 years old. So I have to learn a lot of new things, and this can be overwhelming. And I realize that right now, yes, sometimes I do enjoy to paint a little or draw a little, but I don't have the capacity right now to go as deep as I needed to go in order to really make something of it. So I kind of picked a different thing that I want to do, which is writing. I've been writing all my life, and I was a professional writer, like in like a texter. I was writing copy for marketing, and I had, like, in my years as an academic, I had to write a lot. So I always trained those writing skills in very different areas, but I never really completely stopped writing. So this is something that I picked for myself now, after going back and forth between painting and writing, because it's just the thing that is easier for me to pick up right now. And so, yes, there were still a few things that I had to release, but it was not as much work as I still have to do with my painting thread if I wanted to follow this. So those are, when we talked about priorities at the beginning, those are things that you can implement into your choosing process. Because yes, it is about following your heart and your passions, but the problem is with people who have like multiple passions, you just have, like, you have this one body, you have a limited amount of time at your disposal, and when you have like a million things you want to do, you can't do like one thing properly. So there is this advice coming through of, you don't have to pick just one thing, but pick something that gives you security and has the potential to light you up. Pick something that lights you up and give it a solid container, grounded. So, yeah. And then maybe you still have space for something else. Maybe probably there are other things going on that you have to put your energy in. But just be aware of everything you choose needs energy. And as a human, you do have limitations around how much energy you have. And it also depends on your skill set. It depends on where you are in your healing journey, what kind of belief systems you still have around if you can do something, you cannot do something. All of that is something that needs a certain amount of energy. And depending on that, how much energy you have to put into one thing to get it going, to maybe pick it up again, to learn something, to start it, it will take more or less energy for you. So this is something you need to put into account when choosing a certain path or several paths. So there's like this little warning coming in about overwhelm. And the thing with overwhelm is that if we get overwhelmed, our nervous system just like rejects everything and then we don't do anything. So this is why it's so important to always see, like look at yourself, look at your life, look at your circumstances, and look how a thing makes you feel. Because sometimes you want to do something like, I don't know, becoming an artist. But then reality kicks in and you realize, okay, I'm nowhere near becoming like a real artist because I'm still in the learning and dabbling and trying different things out phase. So I can maybe do this for relaxation, but not really it's a long way to create real paintings that you feel like, okay, I'm actually satisfied with that. And like in my case, it's easier to pick up writing because this is something I'm very confident in. I've done it like more or less in one way or the other my entire life. So this is something where I feel confident in, and I know I don't have to learn the skill itself. It's more about maybe shifting my perspective, maybe getting into new genres. I've never written, like I used to write poetry and stories when I was younger. So I started writing poetry again. And now I feel like I'd like to pick up writing maybe a novel or something like that, short like stories, something like that. So I take this and give it a new container, but it's something that is easier for me to do. And there's one more thing coming through, and I'm sticking with my personal example. Right now, I have so much stuff to do that there is not really a lot of time for me to focus on that. I'm building this YouTube channel. I have to declutter and my apartment. I have to organize a million things because I'm going to move in about 6 weeks, like move out of my apartment. I'm going to travel afterwards. So there is like a million things to do. But I also know that the traveling is part of, like, for me, getting out of my environment, of my like the surroundings, the network I'm in. This will free up space. This will give me the needed time and space to focus on the writing, for example. And this is something I want to do. I want to travel, and I want to focus more on like this particular path. I want to explore it. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what it will bring. I have no idea, but I know I want to try it. And yeah, this is the last thing I wrote down is fear of being locked in. There's a fear of being locked in, and we've been working a lot on avoidant energies collectively lately, for the last few months. Actually, maybe, yeah, it's been stronger. I feel like it's been stronger over the last 4 to 6 months, that we were working on avoidant energy. And there's this fear about being locked into one thing. This is why they're saying you don't have to do just one thing, but maybe for now pick 2 or 3, see it for yourself how much you can handle, and you can change anytime you want. If you pick something and you feel like, no, this wasn't the right thing for me, you can still change that. You can always go back to the drawing board and create something new. Or maybe it's just a pivot. Maybe it's just, okay, I started writing and I thought I start with short stories because I think short stories, they're easier. But then I realized, no, to write a really, really good short story, this is actually quite challenging. So maybe I do pick a different genre for the beginning because I first have to explore more, and I don't know, like you can always, like, you are not locked in. You are free to choose. But at the same time, make sure not to give up, because it's not like because it sometimes gets a little bit uncomfortable, or there are barriers you have to push through, because there will be barriers you have to push through. And this is bringing them, like, they are bringing me back to this thing about testing different timelines, and you will realize what kind of fears, what kind of beliefs around that will come up, and you have the choice. You can say, no, I don't want to look there. I don't want to dig up this one thing. That's okay. You can choose something else. You can go down another rabbit hole. But this is why this is happening right now, so that you can see, okay, well, if I choose to become a full-time artist and I want to make a living with that, then I have to work on my money mindset. Then I have to release certain blocks around money that I have, like beliefs around the starving artist and all of that. And maybe it's not where you want to look. Maybe that's not what you want to do. And that is okay. But then just know that maybe becoming a full-time artist is just not in the cards right now. And that is why the universe is showing you all those different things. This is why it's testing the different timelines, so that you can make a clear choice about, okay, if I choose this path, just be aware that it will bring up things to heal. And you don't have to heal them all at once right now. But just know that, like, you can work on it while you're walking the path. But just be aware that you have to heal stuff. If you didn't have to, you probably would already do it. So yeah, this feels like, let me check my notes. Yeah, this feels complete. So often I put out my decks and I don't even use them because so much energy is coming through already. And yeah, so it's getting darker now. I'm starting to lose the lighting. So this seems like a very good place to end this channeled message. And yeah, this is very exciting. And actually, this is one last note on this. Like, this feels like we are starting to understand and to really deliberately work with timelines and to play around with timelines and to better understand those. And to bring like this whole topic of manifesting and manifesting like the life, to really create the life you want. This is becoming so much more conscious, so much more, like I said, deliberate, and like actively choosing my path and seeing, okay, when I go down this path, I will have to work on this. If I'm going down this path, I have to work on this thing, and actively choosing my pleasure, my joy, but also actively choosing the pain that comes with it and the healing that comes with it. So yeah, this brings like the whole concept of being a conscious creator to a completely new level. I think it's exciting. I think it's beautiful. And I'm also working with that. And I find it very rewarding so far, I have to say. It's not always easy to choose, but at the same time, I do realize when I'm really honest with myself, really listen to my heart and really look at my beliefs that are around all of those things, then I can make a choice quite with a lot of confidence. Yeah, so wow, this is really exciting. I love it. I love where this is going, and I'm really excited to see how like we as a collective are working more and more with those things and how everything is coming together. Again, there's like the magic topic coming in that we've had, like magic is weaving itself into the messages over like the last few weeks, and I love it. This is actually, you could say, like a sort of working with magic. This is actually it. Like, you can create your own magical life by consciously working with timelines and with like the different paths and threads of energy that are showing up in your life. All right, my loves. That's great. I think you can see how excited I am. But yeah, I will let you go now. I wish you a beautiful day wherever you are, whatever you do, and I would love to hear from you in the comments how you are experiencing this whole thing. And if this was helpful, I would love for you to maybe subscribe or leave a like for this video. And I am looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.